I have Rep Fitness's brand new Smith machine in the worst possible setup. I don't know if I'll be regretting it, but if it works for me, it'll work for anyone. The No Fade channel, checking in. Jonathan here, and Rep Fitness's Smith machine finally dropped, and it can be set up in a number of different configurations for optimal use. But because of some poor life choices and home gym reality, I ended up with the configuration that nobody wants. I mean, I've got the short power rack, I've got the Rep Fitness Athena, and I even have a rear stabilizing bar for the lat pull down and low row. Will I be recommending it by the end of today's video?
Oh, have I got your attention now?
For those of you in the fitness community living under a rock these past 2 years, Smith machines are no longer a joke. In fact, they are the home gym hype beast. And while Rep Fitness might be late to the party,
Welcome to the party, pal!
they didn't come empty-handed. In fact, their Smith machine has a ton of options that most of their competitors lack. Right off the top, there are countless ways to set up your add-on Rep Fitness Smith machine. You can set it up inside your rack, but you can also set it up outside your rack. You can have the bar path be 100% vertical, or you can set it up at an angle for a more biomechanically friendly bar path. Plus, speaking of that bar, it comes with not one, but 2 knurling options. Most Smith machines come with knurling, but it's very passive, and that's probably being generous. Most of the barbells look as though they were polished with straight up sadness. But Rep Fitness offers you 2 premium choices. They mimic the knurling based off of their beloved Colorado bar and their Black Diamond bar. So you can get medium knurling or you can get aggressive. Here's why I have literally the worst configuration possible. Number one, I got that short rack, so I am limited on the vertical range I have on the Smith machine. So storing that thing up high when it's not in use, yeah, there's no up high with this power rack. I also have the Rep Fitness Athena power rack attachment, meaning it is 100% null and void to set up that Smith machine on the outside of my rack. So that has left me with one option. You guessed it, setting up the Smith machine inside my power rack. Now, you can set up the Smith machine all the way to the back, all the way to the front, or anywhere in between. But not me. I can't set it up all the way to the rear. Reason being, I've got a lat pull down in low row, and that comes with a rear stabilizing bar. So now I'm down to 2 choices. However, I did some calculations, and if I set up the Smith machine way here in the front, when I set up my adjustable bench, my feet would actually be kicking my dumbbell rack like it's some type of MMA cardio. So where does that leave us? Well, if you've been paying attention, you've got no other option but put it smack dab in the middle. I did assemble this in approximately 20 minutes, but had I had a second set of hands, I could have easily cut that time in half. I chose to attach the Rep Fitness Smith machine rack attachment at a 5-degree angle in order to get a more natural bar path on this Smith machine. I've been clanging and banging away on this Smith machine, utilizing it for 18 solid workouts, and I am absolutely ready to give you my final thoughts. But we don't live in a vacuum, and we absolutely need to compare this to the competition, especially when it comes to the price. Smith machine rack from Rep Fitness, if you have my configuration, which is inside the rack, Colorado grip, and 80 inches height, is going to be $950. But if you happen to have it outside the rack, you are looking at $1,299.96 because of these front feet and because of this front section here that you are going to need. I will tell you that if you do have the taller rack, which I think most people will have, you're going to have to tack on an extra $50 for each of those options. Let us look at some of the competition, but I will caution If you have a Rep Fitness power rack, I would not try to find another Smith machine to add to that rack. Conversely, if you have a Bells of Steel power rack, I wouldn't go with the Rep Fitness power rack. I just wouldn't trust that they would be compatible, even though the racks are fairly similar. I just feel like you could get stuck high and dry if it doesn't fit. So the Smith machine rack from Bells of Steel, they've got two versions. One is $900 and one is bring your own bar, is the same, $900. I'm kind of confused why, if they're not supplying the bar, you need to pay the same amount of money. I feel like there's something going on there, but I'm not necessarily sure. It might have to do with the configuration or the overall charges, but at the end of the day, $900 for their version. And probably the most affordable of the ones we're going to talk about, the Fringe Sport Bob. This is $600, and this is another bring your own bar. What's nice about the bring your own bar version is that you know the bar quality is going to be high because you're using your own bar. You know the knurling, you know the diameter, and you can swap out a squat bar for squats and say you have a bench bar for bench and all that good stuff. On top of that, we talked a little bit earlier about space in terms of how much space these Smith machines take up. Well, when it's not in use, you can simply store your bar out of the way, and that completely frees up your power rack to do other stuff with it, as also frees up the space in terms of walking around your power rack. Nobody, and I do mean nobody, expected Rep Fitness's Smith machine to be budget. In fact, they're not a budget company. They make high-end equipment and they charge a high-end price. You get the quality, you get the customer service, but you also have to pony up that price tag. If you are looking for the best budget Smith machine out there, I'm probably going to steer you towards the Makolo Anubis. Reason being, this thing is a fantastic price. This is an all-in-one trainer, and if you go with the ultimate version, it comes with a Smith machine, and that's usually how to get the best bang for your dollar, is to get these all-in-ones that allow you to just have everything all in one spot. So you're basically buying the Smith machine with your rack. When you buy the Smith machine outside of the initial purchase with your rack, you are going to have to pay more money. This channel is fueled entirely by energy drinks and affiliate links. When you use those links in the description, it does help me jump on these home gym grenades and take one for the team. And now it's time. It is time for my final thoughts on Rep Fitness's in-rack Smith machine attachment. And if you were waiting for Rep Fitness to drop the ball, to lay an egg, not this time. Their attention to detail on their equipment is honestly almost bar none. Pardon the pun. They have a beautiful barbell here, and if you've ever lifted on most of your Smith machines, you know that the barbell is janky. It just doesn't feel good. The knurling is passive, if it's even there, and Rep Fitness has hit the nail on the head. You get beautiful knurling. Now, I went with the medium, and I always find that to be the Goldilocks zone. Plenty of grip, but not overly aggressive that it's going to cut up your hands or leave marks in the back of your shirt when you're squatting. On top of that, you get IWF, IPF knurl markings as well as center knurling. Now, it does have a 450-pound weight capacity and it has shorter sleeves. I was able to get 5 bumper plates on each side, and let's face it, that's more than you're ever going to lift, so that is plenty. On top of that, it is possibly the smoothest and quietest Smith machine I have ever used. I mean, buttery smooth, and it's just, that's exactly what you want when you buy a Smith machine. Now, for height options, you get 16 if you have the shorty rack like I do here. If you've got the tall boy, you get, I think, 19, but don't quote me, you definitely get more than 16. They've also added lining on these clips so that when you go to load it up, it's actually relatively quiet and it just kind of sits down nice and gradual. And the icing on the cake when it comes to Rep Fitness's engineering prowess is or are these little small cute safeties. They get the job done. You can drop 450 pounds on them, no problem, but they're in and out of the way, lickety split, and it's almost like you can't even notice them, which is what you want. You want something that has great function, but isn't gonna be obtrusive. I've already praised how smooth this Smith machine is in terms of use, but I wanna go a step further. On a lot of budget Smith machines, if you don't have the weight balanced evenly, like you got 1 plate over here and 2.5 plates over there, and you go to lift it, it puts like a torque. It doesn't lift even, and it just doesn't feel right. This thing is perfect every which way to Sunday. You can put one plate over here, 2 plates over there, no plates on the other side, and it still lifts even, still stays right where it should be, horizontal. I am really glad I set this up at a 5-degree angle. Again, you can set this up vertical like a typical Smith machine, or you can add an angle, and it just made everything feel better. Squats, bench, bent over rows, even shrugs. That small little horizontal movement in terms of the vector is gonna make a difference. It just feels a bit more natural. I found that there was less stress on my lower back, on my knees, and on my hips when doing squats with this thing. And overall, if you get this Smith machine, I certainly would recommend trying out that angle. And the nice thing about it is, if you try it out and you don't like it, you can just set it up vertical the regular way if you wanted down the road. I just spent the last 90 seconds telling you how great this Smith machine is. And even with that high price tag, it's actually, if you look down deep in terms of the competition, pretty much in line with what they should be charging based on all the features they're delivering and their reliable customer service. But should you buy this rack Smith machine? And the short answer is, it absolutely depends. You've got to figure out which configuration you have, how you're going to set it up, and if you're going to lose a lot of functionality with your power rack. For me, I literally have worst case scenario. Setting this up inside my power rack now means if I want a regular squat or regular barbell bench, I got to do it on the outside of my power rack. I also can't walk through my rack anymore because this thing is a permanent fixture. Even with my lat pull down, I found that I was cutting it pretty close having this stored all the way at the top. I was able to use all my attachments, no problem, but man, it was really, really close in terms of if I was going to be able to do it. If you have the shorter rack and you've got an Aries or Athena, don't buy this because you can't install it outside of your rack, and installing this thing inside of your rack really basically takes away from the purpose of a power rack.
Go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
When it comes to a home gym, we want to add versatility and variety. And that's what this Smith machine provides. You get tons of great exercises that you can do with it. It basically helps save your central nervous system. It allows you to overload on volume, and it is ultra safe. I absolutely think that price tag is worth it, but you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. I know we all want that new in our home gym, the new kid on the block, that shiny it thing that has the it factor. And this Smith machine certainly does, but make sure you've got that right setup. Think about what you're going to be giving up in order to get this installed on your rack. If the answer is you're not giving up anything because you're installing it on the outside of your rack, then you need to go all in. But I absolutely wouldn't get this for inside your power rack because you're taking your full-size, beautiful, highly functional rack and effectively turning it into a half rack. Is this Rep Fitness Smith machine the best one on the market? It very well may be because they have so many different options when it comes to how you can set this up, where you can set this up, and that knurling. I think there are a number of good ones on the market, but remember, I wouldn't try to mix and match. It's like the Ghostbusters. You don't want to cross streams. If you've got a Bells of Steel rack, you probably shouldn't go with Rep Fitness Smith machine. Conversely, if you've got a Rep rack, you probably shouldn't go with the Fringe Sport Smith machine. You got to just kind of stick to your own. Now, 2 things you absolutely should stick to and watch: these 2 videos. Use the links in the description. They support the channel. They support these honest reviews. And as usual, don't save anything for the trip back.